today we're going to discuss how my special guest did not show up. So we don't really have much on the agenda today, but I did want to talk about one thing that happened this week, and there are probably some others. And also we had a suggestion on Facebook that Malvis wanted to talk about, and of course she's not here because that's how that always works. So hopefully she will come in. Rita Phillips just posted something. How are we having an open forum today? Yes, we are, Rita. And you're not here yet. Hopefully you get your email. Okay, so what we're going to, I gotta keep getting these texts too. I want to talk about one thing. Somebody sent me this week on a $110,000 condo. They sent me I had a cash offer for 105 and a financed offer for 107 or something like that. And so I talked to the owner, and it's listed at 115, 120, something like that. And he said, let's get the financed offer up a little bit higher. You know, 5 or 10 grand on a $100,000 condo is a big deal. It's not like on a $500,000 house. So I gave everybody highest and best and everything, and the cash offer didn't want to come up, which is reasonable. And the other agent, though, for the financed offer, while technically in first place, and we're talking about financing a condo here, lots of stuff goes wrong. There's a lot of work involved. You got to deal with the whole questionnaire for the condo and do all that kind of stuff, depending on how good the other agent is. And let's just say they weren't very knowledgeable. It's going to end up being a lot of work for me. And a lot of things can fall apart. So I advise the seller, let's get them up higher. If we're going to go with them, they need to be up significantly higher. So instead of sending me an offer for the amount that we told them we would take, they sent me an escalation clause to that amount, which does no good whatsoever. So, and I've seen this happen before, and we've talked about this before. We fall in love with these escalation clauses. Don't fall in love with the escalation clause. It's a very specific thing, but if your offer is not the strongest offer financing wise or in any other terms wise, going up $1,000 above another offer, especially on a $500,000 house, doesn't mean anything, right? So you're not doing yourself or your buyer a service by falling in love with these escalation clauses if it doesn't make sense. Make your best offer, what they're willing to pay, and then with a very, very top end of what they're willing to pay. Don't say, even though it's multiple offers, we're going to try to, get this one on the cheap. But if not, they're going to have to prove to us that for every $1,000 they want, they got to prove to us they have a better offer. Lots of times your offer isn't the best offer, even if the number is the best. So especially if you're going up $500 or $1,000 at a time, or even on a $500,000 house, 5,000 is not that much compared to them not having to worry about putting it back on the market or dealing with an FHA or whatever it is that makes when your deal's probably not the strongest. So don't use escalation clauses to overcome that. Just come up with money. Just make a real solid thing. So this other agent, I just wrote her back and said, we're not doing escalation clause. This is the amount, just make it for that amount. And she did. So that's what we're doing. So just just want to emphasize not to fall in love with these escalation clauses. They have a purpose, but it's not for every deal that you do. Okay. I see you guys are coming in here. I have about 1,000 texts because I messed it up. Oh, good. Malvis, you're in here now. That's good. I'm going to get the open forum. Link is saying we have another meeting in progress. Oh, that's Abby. You're in here. Richard's in here. Another link. Juliana, did Juliana make it in? Rita's in here. Good. I saw that you were on Facebook asking about it. Sorry about this, guys. Just trying to make sure everybody who wanted to be in is in. Okay. All right. So, Malvis had a question about the listing agreement. So let's talk about that. Malvis, what is your question?
So I know we talked about this before, but I just need clarification. So the listing agreement has several pages, right? And then on the very last page where the seller signs, and then the page 1. I have a question regarding on page 1, line 6, where it says, you know, beginning, and that date where it says beginning,
Mhm.
that the day that the property is supposed to be on the MLS, or is that the day that the seller signs the very last page on the contract?
So if you look at
Reason,
if you look at the very last page on the contract, and I'm just getting to it right now, but I know it has a line for a signature, and next to that it has a line for a date. That's the date they sign. They can sign today, and you don't actually list their property until September or whenever. So, but that goes on the first page on line 6 is the date that the actual listing starts. Okay.
okay, so
That's the date
the
you can
seller,
start marketing and telling people about it. It has to be on the MLS according to MLS rules. So what's that? Within 24 hours? Right? So if
there's
I'm
a
gonna show
24
you-
or 48.
it's,
24.
I think it's 24 to go in MLS. Let's, but if it's not, then you get an MLS exclusion.
Okay, okay, so I have so if I have a seller that I go to a listing appointment, he's not ready yet to put that home on the market. He tells me, Malvis, I'm doing some renovations. We're gonna probably be ready in 3 weeks. I can bring this to my listing appointment, fill it all out, leave that beginning date in blank.
No,
No?
don't leave blank forms when you're having a customer sign something. So,
Uh,
go ahead and put the date that you want to start, that you think it's going to be done, or
So
if you want to
it-
start marketing the property now, you can make it today and make it and use an MLS exclusion form. And your customer will sign that because they'll be happy to keep it off the market until that's done.
So I can sign the contract today on the last page, and then on this line, I can put 3 weeks from now. I can put,
You can, but why risk it? Go ahead and get it done, and your owner will sign an MLS exclusion form because they don't want it on the internet. They don't want people coming by there, etc. But you can still sell it, and you can tell people about it. But
You
your
can't,
MLS
you can't advertise it though, if it's not on the MLS.
you can,
You
You
cannot
can
market
tell-
it.
what's that?
You can't market it until it's on the ML, 24 hours. Like if she's gonna have him sign it for 3 weeks away, she can't market it until 24 hours before that
If
3
somebody
weeks.
comes by the house and wants to buy it because they see work is being done, something like that, at least you're covered for that.
Yes.
So there's that kind of stuff. Joy, to everyone, where can we get yard signs? Joy, you can get yard signs on your welcome email from me. I gave a place to, depending on what county you're working in, you're probably around Orange County or something, but that would be Great House Signs. It's on your welcome email. If you need another one, I'm sure Abby can forward you one, or I can later.
Thank you.
And there's complete directions on there. You go in and you have an account and stuff like that. It's easy. So they keep our yard signs. They charge you, I think it's 22 to put them out and 15 to bring them back or something like that. But they put them out on these big white posts, and you put your writer on there or whatever you want. Or you can have your own yard signs made if you'd like. If you want to brand yourself or do something like that, you're welcome to do that as well. Does that answer your question, Malvis?
so this form here, this is the MLS data entry sheet that I pulled from the MLS. On the first page, it says listing information, and right underneath it says list date. Is that list date the same as beginning date on the listing agreement?
It should be, but don't be a stickler for what's on the data entry sheet. The reason we do that and have them sign that, if things change from there, they don't have to go back and initial or anything like that as far as the dates and stuff go. That's
Okay.
not a, that's the purpose of that data entry sheet, first of all, is to make sure it's a guide as you're gathering information. You're sitting there with the seller, you get all their utility information, you get all that, you walk around the house with them and you fill out, yes, it has a porch, yes, it's screened in, all the stuff that you can't remember after you leave if you don't have a picture of it and if you didn't take notes, all that kind of stuff. That's where you take all those notes and do all that stuff.
Okay.
But also it protects you because they're going to sign it at the end that they did say they were leaving the refrigerator. They did say they were leaving the washer and dryer. Which one of you guys called me about somebody took a refrigerator the other day? One of you guys called me about that. You were at the closing table and someone had taken their refrigerator. So, I mean, it happens after they said they wouldn't. So That kind of stuff happens all the time. That protects you from that. Don't get caught up in the data entry sheet.
Okay.
It's to protect you. All of this stuff is the listing agreement is to protect you also, and to protect.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I can basically have on the listing agreement, go to a listing appointment, have a sign off today, you know, April 14th at the very last page, but the house list date over here will be May 5th. I have,
Whatever it can be, absolutely.
I have 24 hours from May 5th to put the
Correct.
house on the market.
Yeah, you can't do it now. You can't do it until May 5th.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
You can put it in now and leave it incomplete until May 5th, but you can't broadcast it until May 5th.
Okay, thank you.
If you put it in and left it incomplete, and when you activate it, is it gonna show days on the market or no?
It's not
Okay.
days on market till it's on the market.
Okay.
Tammy, it's tricky because if you put in the actual MLS entry area on page 1 when you're putting it in, if you put like listing agreement contract date, once you go live, it'll show active days on market for however many days that is, even though it wasn't on the MLS. So make sure
It asks for the date that your listing starts, and that would be in her case May 5th. It wouldn't be the date that they sign.
Right. I made a mistake once where I put like the day that they signed, which was like a week ago, and I listed it.
It showed 7 days already.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I've never done that where I've stuck it in and left it incomplete. I never even thought of doing that actually.
Well, we run into that with these condos and stuff that we do because they'll have tenants and it's hard to get in and take pictures. So we'll go ahead and start it, and then I won't be able to go and take pictures till next Tuesday because of the tenant schedule and all that stuff. So it happens.
Okay.
And then we just upload the pictures and stuff and make the date right.
Because the MLS doesn't ask for the contract date, it asks for the MLS data entry date, correct?
No, it asks for when the listing starts. It says something, I don't remember the name of it, but it's the listing when it starts and when it expires, which is typically 6 months apart or whatever you guys are doing.
But according to the listing agreement, the listing starts on that first day, not the day that it was signed.
Nobody cares about the date it was signed. Nobody cares about that.
Oh,
Nobody's ever
okay.
going to ask you about that ever again. Just they can sign now to start May 5th. They can start December 1st. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's just the date on line 6 is all that matters for the listing. And it's going to say, a listing starts on 4/15/2021 and ends on 10/15/2021. And that's what you're going to put into the MLS. Okay.
Okay.
Or whatever it is.
Thank-
Let me try to catch up. Is there any first time out there doing covering TP and closing costs? Luis Perez, we had a lender on last week or the week before. It's on our YouTube channel that talked about, yes, they are doing down payment assistance and that kind of stuff. They're still doing it. It's taking a little bit longer. I think I'm remembering right that you're going to plan on at least 60 days for closing right now with those. Does that sound familiar to anybody that might have been listening when that happened? Sweet, nobody. Awesome. So he said 60 days, I think. So it just takes a little bit longer, but it's still out there. Okay, MLS exclusion form. Why are guys? Those aren't. You have to have a reason. Typically, you don't have to, but typically a seller is going to want a reason for it, and the reason for it is going to be stuff like we're replacing the floors and we don't want people, traipsing through here. But it is eating up your 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of your listing period, which right now is not that big of a deal because you're selling stuff in 2 days anyway. But in general, just keep that in mind. Market's not going to stay like this forever. So just keep that in mind. In general, we don't want to be doing that any more than necessary. Here's one of mine. Okay. Oh, you sent a form. Any other questions or comments about any of that stuff? Or about anything? Again, I apologize. This is not the world's most informative open forum. We got to cancel.
I have a quick question, Ryan.
Not prepared. Yes, ma'am, Rita.
I am representing a for sale by owner and I happen to, well, I guess I'm representing the buyer with a for sale by owner, but to get credit for the sale, can I input it in MLS as a data entry thing?
You have 30 days after it closes. And
Data
there's a little line that says enter for, like, when you do add and edit a listing. I
Okay,
think it says, like, add for record purposes, but you can call the MLS, they'll walk you through it.
perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, do that. That's the best thing. It's called data purposes only, and they'll walk you through it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You bet. Any other? I know I bragged on you guys last month. You had a terrific month. So great job. Great job. Any other questions? When will market shift? Jika, I wouldn't be in this open forum right now if I knew that, buddy. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know who knows, but I think I'll just tell you, I've read a bunch of stuff, and if you want my opinion, I'll give it to you. But I think it'll hold out through the end of the year, but like it is right now. But I'm not basing that on anything other than reading a bunch of stuff and just deciding what I just choose to believe. So I don't know. Anybody else with a good idea out there? Nobody wants to go on record. We're going to destroy this recording anyway, since there's no actual value to this meeting. We're going to destroy this recording anyway. So go ahead.
Take a
Tammy,
gamble.
what do you think?
Who?
You tell us what you think.
Oh, I have no clue. I just go with the flow. I just do my job.
Okay. All right. It's good strategy.
I just work hard, try to keep things going.
Anybody else have any idea? Jika, what do you think? You can write it in the side if you don't want to talk. What do you think? Or if you can't?
When you say change, are you thinking it's going to slow way down, or you think that there's going to be more the foreclosures hitting, or?
I just see a shift of this seller's market slowing down and kind of reverting back to an even market for a while, and eventually a buyer's market. So, but I mean, it just because it has to, it comes up, it goes down. Yes, eventually they got to stop. They got to stop continuing these forbearances and all this stuff. I mean, that's got to come to a head at some point.
I just saw an email this morning on an uptick of mortgage rates for multifamily homes. So that might be signaling a little bit of an uptake. Well, they've already upticked for single families. Maybe a little bit more now. I think once the interest rates start going back up, that's what's going to slow down the market, or that's going to get it more in balance.
It's going to get it more in balance, but not in a good way. It's going to slow down. It's going to slow down everything, but that will get prices back in check when there's going to be 3 offers for a house instead of 12. It'll get to check the prices a little bit on that.
Just this morning, I saw the multifamily rates go from in the past week or so, from like 4.25 up to like 5 or so, I think it was. So a slow uptick for some lenders.
And macroeconomically, I think that there is going to be there are only so many people. So during this whole pandemic, people have either done really well or really badly, right? People are either really hurting or they've done pretty well. And the people who have done pretty well are the ones buying. That's why people, I see one of my Facebook friends who's a successful agent is posting about, average sales have gone up from 290 to 330 or whatever it is. And we talked about this before. That 290 house hasn't gone to 330. What's happened is that people who were buying in the 200s are hurting for work, and people who are buying in the 3s and 4s and 5s are doing better. And so they're buying more expensive homes. The average size of a home has also increased that's selling. So, but there's only so many people who can buy. And as you see, a lot of them are, how many of you guys raise your hand if you've had buyers give up on you and just say, I'm going to do something else or go buy a new house, right? They give up, they put in 12 offers and then they go buy a new house, or they give up or just say, it's just not our time, not meant to be, or I'll just wait for the market to even back out. I'll stick it out here another year, whatever. I think that'll pay off for them. To be honest with you, I don't think you should go around telling people that, but I think that will probably pay off for them. I mean, there's a reason they're out looking. They want a new house, right? And they can afford it. And a lot of times, people who are doing well, money burns a hole in their pocket. It's happened to all of us before too. So I think that's part of what's driving it. But those people are going to dry out too. I mean, eventually we're going to run out of people buying these houses just because there's only so much demand, and it's going to level out a little bit too. So again, these offers, you guys are going in competing against 12. You'll be competing with 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then none. And you're just
Ryan?
like the good old days. Yes, George.
The CFRI, the Realty Investment Group I belong to, had a gentleman on who invests in Florida and teaches buying bank-owned REO properties. And he had a slide on that showed that the 30, 60, 90-day delinquency in the country in general and in Florida specific is near the 2004 rate, when we started to see the ninja loans and the liar loans, whatever you wanted to call them, but no doc loans were creating that. So his thought is that once forbearance ends, which is, a few months out, and the entire bill comes through, we'll start seeing a lot more short sales and bank-owned properties. He was recommending it's easier to let them go bank-owned and then deal with the bank as opposed to getting there. But that's what the investor group is looking at. And they're probably split 50-50 on, with the forbearance, will there be programs that'll allow people to come through? Because after the last collapse, the banks got bailed out, but the consumers didn't. And there's some thought process that the amount of money we pumped into the economy and will continue to pump into the economy, they will do something about helping out the consumer, kind of level out that reentry into the market. So, but anyway, just the raw data, if you look at it, it's pretty scary that we're going to have a flood of foreclosures hitting the market. Now, Florida is probably 3 years behind, and so if they got foreclosed tomorrow, those properties wouldn't really hit the market until 2 to 3 years from now. So because the courts are backed up as well. So that's kind of the market we're looking at. But from an investor point of view, there's some signs out there that show it's slipping. But on the other side, I have investors leaving the market because they can't make any money here because prices of houses are too high. And so it is, and we have Wall Street firms getting back into buying rental properties because they see it as a lucrative business in Central Florida. So there's a whole lot of different indicators out there, but there is an indicator that it could slow it, or there could be more inventory coming on the market with REOs, but those people still have to have a place to live. So that means the rents will start coming back. Because as high or fast as our rates are rising for houses in general, our rental rates are not keeping up. The national market, it's worth about 1% of your purchase price. So a $200,000 house should generate roughly $2,000 in rent, and if you're lucky, you'll get $1,500 and probably less. So like I said, there's a whole lot of stuff. I teach real estate trends. I always look backwards. I don't look forwards because I have no crystal ball where it's going. So that's as far out on a limb as I choose to go, and I'm not taking a saw.
Yeah, I like that. I was, we talked about this several months ago, and I was predicting that around this summer this would be happening, but it keeps getting the forbearance keeps getting put off and put off and put off with the pandemic, and now with everyone heading toward vaccination, or enough people headed toward vaccination, and things eventually will be opened back up, including this forbearance deal. It's got to end at some point. So I thank you, George. I appreciate that. It's very good stuff. And yeah, these things have to swing back around. I do expect the market to swing back around. So I am selling my house in Ocoee. And so I looked around for comps. I'm not selling it yet. I'm not put on market till next month. But I'm looking around. I'm not advertising it to you guys right now. But I'm looking around at local houses, just see what's going on, trends and stuff. And I'm seeing, George, I saw a pre-foreclosure. You clicked my brain on this. It just happened yesterday. I saw a pre-foreclosure in within my quarter-mile radius that I looked up on MLS. And so I looked at it, and it didn't say it was a pre-foreclosure, just said it was a sale. I looked at it, it said in the remarks it was a pre-foreclosure. And had a bunch of stuff, the floors, they'd had some water damage of some sort. The floors were bubbling up and stuff like that. But, it was a $500,000 house they were trying to sell for $450 or something, and saying, yeah, we know it needs things. So there are those hitting the market. That's the whole point of that story, was to tell you there are those hitting the market that they're trying to beat the foreclosure man to the finish line. So, George is saying, a lot of people the investors would rather wait until it gets foreclosed and deal with the bank. But George is also right in that it's going to be 2 years. So if you've got a buyer who wants to try to find a deal, then you could try to work those out. Investor wise, they'll just wait. They'll do something else with their money for 2 years and then do it. But if you've got a buyer whose money's burning a hole in their pocket to get a house now, then maybe you can buy it for, the guy said on there, I'll have to look it up. It's in Ocoee. I'll have to look it up. He said on there, it's already been priced to reflect that there's some damage to it, but we will make some concessions if necessary, meaning it hasn't been priced to reflect those, and that you're not finding many motivated sellers right now. And so they're a motivated seller trying to beat the foreclosure man to the finish line. So just keep in mind that you're going to start seeing that stuff out there. It's the first time I've seen it in this go around. So you're going to start seeing it out there. A lot of times they're not going to admit they're pre-foreclosures, but a lot of them are pre-foreclosures that will start hitting the market. Those people may not have had a forbearance. They might not have been eligible for one or whatever, but who knows? Maybe completely unrelated. All right. Any other comments or questions? Jika, that's a great thing. End of year also. So you agree with me. So obviously you're brilliant. But I have no idea. Any other questions, comments, ideas? What's working for you guys? Dalton has switched over to Boomtown. That's a big deal going on. He's advertising it on Facebook. He's got a new website coming. Tell us about that, Dalton.
Well, first, I just had a really interesting phone call. I listed my house at 250 because I think that's what it'll appraise at. And we had offers running it up to 290. And I just had an appraiser call me that says, hey, before I accept this, I want to let you know that I won't appraise this above 240. Never had that happen before. He's
Wow.
like, so I don't think I'm going to accept this, this appraisal. Well, how did you get to 290? I said, well, I had multiple offers that ran me up to 290. And he goes, yeah, for your sake, I don't think I'm going to take this appraisal because I think it'll come in pretty low. I was like, okay, thank you.
Wow. That's interesting.
That happened to me. There was a house listed for like 268 or 269. We won the bid at 282, but we did 5,000 over appraised value. I knew it wouldn't appraise. So I was thinking it might appraise at like 270 or maybe 275 max. It didn't even appraise at the list price. It appraised at 260. And I was shocked, and they were shocked, and they were mad. And then the seller wanted to sell it for 15,000 over. And I just said, the buyer's not going to pay 15,000 over, but she agreed to pay 5, and she might go a little higher than that. So we bought it for under the list price. It was like 268 we ended up at or something. So yeah, it's crazy.
I've just never had.
It's preparing the seller.
I mean, but to be the listing agent and for an appraiser to call me and say, hey, I'm not going to take this appraisal because it's going to come in low. I've never, ever had that happen before. And I'm glad it did. I mean, I'll roll my dice with somebody that may not be as experienced that might come actually give my value. So the buyers have agreed to pay 10,000 over appraised value. I had another offer that would pay anything over it, but the current buyers are 25% down. The people that said they'd pay over were only 5% down.
Mine were too.
Yeah.
I just had one that I just found out the day that it appraised. It was on the market at 205 and we knew we'd be having a bidding war. Nicely fixed up rental turning back into a single family. I had 10 bids. I was only able to, the tenant won't allow me to show it. Certain, I had 19 showings. I had 10 bids and I had 3 people that told me they would offer on it, but they didn't want to get into a bidding war. I always put together an appraisal package because when I sell investor properties, I want to be top of the market. And so I had the appraiser from Wells Fargo call me right away after they went under, and this thing went out of contract. This is the 3rd time. We went into many bidding wars after the first contract fell and after the second contract fell. And I ended up getting 4 at 220. And when I told the appraiser what I did, I just put together the appraiser package on it. And I always do this. I've got one I'm working on the buyer side over in Citrus Springs. I'll have to do the same thing. But I do the work for them, give them the comps and give them the repairs, what separates this from the average house in the neighborhood. And I win most of those. I don't always win, but I win most of those because I have enough differentiation in the package to show them how it works and the condition of the house. Because this appraiser also said due to COVID, Wells Fargo is only having them do drive-bys. And we almost did not take the Wells Fargo bid because Wells Fargo's in the mortgage servicing, loan servicing business, not in the loan business, in my opinion. Most of the big banks are that way. But we did get the appraisal on this one, and this is the one I was worried the most, and primarily because it was Wells Fargo.
Okay, I want to talk about the drive-by appraisals. I had a long conversation with one of you guys, not in this meeting, about a drive-by appraisal. And a Rocket Mortgage told her that they're not going to do a real appraisal. They're going to do a drive-by. Why? Because I need this appraisal to come in a little bit lower, and I'd love for you guys to get out there and see it. And they said, well, because of COVID. And she said, well, it's vacant. Shouldn't be that big of a problem. Drive-by only is another one of those things that, like restaurants not offering certain services and stuff, that's just not cost beneficial to them, and they just blame it on COVID. So that is what's going on. Full price appraisal, drive-by, not even drive-by, just a computer. They're not even going to drive by. No contact, not going there. The big boys are tending to do that. You're probably seeing everybody do a little bit of that. That excuse, again, like we just talked about with the forbearance, that excuse is only going to be good for a limited time. So
are you saying the drive-bys would come in at value or higher, or be a lower value?
it will come in whatever the computer says it comes in. It depends on the house. On my house, it's nice on the inside. Nothing's falling down. There's no, that house happened to have some previous roof damage, happened to have some issue, spots on the ceiling, stuff like that. And it's a foreclosure. So she wanted them to come out and see it.
Yeah.
Right. To get her price down, because they were negotiable for if the thing came down, they told her they would negotiate a little bit if the appraisal's bad.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So so she wanted them to come out. If she really wanted the house and wanted a high value to make sure it went through and everything, that would have been a whole different. She would have been like, great, do it from Cleveland, on your computer.
Yeah.
Right? So that it depends on the house. It depends on what you want to happen. And so I don't know that there's even better or worse, but they come into a nice house and see nice upgrades and stuff like that they might not see from any other pictures or anything else, then a whole different thing. So, a lot of these places, the yard looks nice on the last Google Earth photos or whatever they're using for photos, or the listing photos, but now it looks, looks dead and crappy now. So who knows? Interesting stuff. Dalton had one. His drive-by came in at value. I'm sure they do. Some are good. Some are going to be above. Some are going to be below. Some are going to be just right. So it depends really on what you want. Sometimes it's an advantage. I'm just mad because people are paying full price for an appraisal that I could do from my computer. They're paying full price for a BPO CMA. They're paying appraisal price. All right. Any other questions or comments?
I had a call from Nigeria on my Google Verify, and this Nigeria call comes through. I'm like, oh gosh, and you're kind of thinking it's a scam, Nigeria, and that he gave me the address of the property, and it was in an LLC, and I said, it's in an LLC. He goes, well, I don't know, I don't remember the name of the LLC, and so I looked him up on Sunbiz, and he was the owner of the LLC, but he said he owns 15 properties in the US, and this one he wants to sell down, it's in Reunion. So that was pretty, I just need to do the foreign national stuff with him. And do you have an accountant you use for that? Do you recommend for the foreign nationals?
I've got some FERPTA ones.
Yeah.
I can share that stuff with you. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I mean, there's a guy in Davenport that I've used in the past, but
I don't know if we put them on the vendor list or not. Let me look it up.
I don't know if they're aware about the 15% withholding stuff, but
Yeah. Just explain to them, guys. You guys get, oh, that's another thing we can talk about.
What's
That
the
you guys
price
get
of the
so
home? Tammy?
you guys get so nervous and upset about FERPTA, and you show on the buyer side, you make sure the title company's doing it. It's your job. Make sure the title company's withholding it. But don't be afraid of your sellers talking about FERPTA. It's just a withholding.
yeah,
Look, if I don't pay my taxes, they can freeze all my assets, and eventually, if I evade them, they could throw me in jail, right? If a foreign national, if your friend in Nigeria does not pay taxes here, they can't do anything. They can't touch him. It's just money gone. So they'd rather hold his money than trust him to pay taxes.
right.
That's it. There's no trick to it. Nothing else. If they get a accountant here in the U.S. to file an 8828 affidavit, they will get their, and truthfully say that they don't owe tax. They don't owe taxes. Beyond, if they've been paying their taxes the whole time and they don't have a lot of capital gains,
If they have a management company,
management companies should be withholding and paying tax. We do that.
yeah,
In
okay,
fact, we withhold 30%. They usually typically owe 28% or something like that. We withhold 30. Again, I'm not a tax professional. I don't know who will owe taxes and not. They're going to have some capital gains if they did real well on it.
Yeah.
But
I think the vacation rental, but so they can file a form ahead of time prior to closing, so that the money to show that they've been paying taxes and that the money does not have to be withheld.
no, it will be withheld for 8 or 12 weeks or something like that, and then they'll get it back.
Because I thought I've had a deal in the past where the sellers, I had the buyer, the sellers did something kind of ahead of time so that they didn't have to have the money withheld.
They can't do it that far ahead of time.
Okay,
So
What's the list price, Tammy?
of the one I'm getting,
Yeah.
I haven't totally figured it out. It's probably 600, or
Oh, okay.
it's an 8-bedroom, 8-bath.
Okay. Under 300. I know because I just closed on a FERPTA deal like this week.
Yeah.
But my sellers, they were under 300. The buyers were going to live in the home. So FERPTA
Right.
didn't apply.
Exactly,
It
exactly.
didn't apply. But in that case, Dalton, the FERPTA addendum still has to be signed by both parties, correct?
Yes.
Even though it doesn't apply.
Nishad told me I don't need the FERPTA addendum because it's already in the as-is contract. So I didn't need a FERPTA addendum. But the one area that I ran into that I screwed up because I'd never done it before is if it's under 300 and the buyer's going to live in it, have the buyer sign the affidavit in the initial contract, because we ran into a problem at the end. The buyer's like, I'm not signing that and waiving FERPTA. So then I was on a 3-way call and Nishad yelling at this guy like, dude, it doesn't apply. You need to sign this. And he didn't understand. He's like, I'm not waiving FERPTA. FERPTA doesn't apply. So, but he has to sign that. So make sure you attach that affidavit to your MLS docs, like seller's disclosure and stuff, and have them sign
They're
that.
stating that they're going to live in the home. That's why it doesn't apply. And they're not going to rent it out or blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's like they have to live in the home for at least 50% of the time.
For 2 years.
Right. But no, Malvis, we didn't have to sign a FERPTA addendum.
Okay.
It's already in the as-is contract.
yeah, so yeah, Nishad sent Dalton to Harding Bell. There's Tycon's referred a couple of different people to me. So it depends on what who you're going to use and what you're going to do. But
I'll have to look and see who
I'll
I.
get you there.
I have someone too, but and I think they're fairly good. But I actually have a couple, but I don't.
I think almost everybody, almost every accountant can do it.
Yeah.
Some do it more often than others. So
Right.
I'll use the ones that do
And
it.
some that's more their niche.
Right. Sort of sale agreement. Richard, the exclusive right of sale listing agreement as transaction broker is what I prefer you guys use. You guys run into each other all the time out there, or if you sell the property yourself, you're going to be transaction broker. We have 500 of you guys that are actual realtors. 925 of you guys total, 500 actual realtors out there running
Wow.
into each other all over the place. Okay. All right, George is talking to everyone there, but he means that for Dalton, I'm sure. GK got an online appraiser too. They just asked for pick and info about the house. That is not a real appraisal. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's crazy.
That's not really even fair to people that are having appraisals done. You know, it's really
It's not fair to people playing by the rules.
yeah, it's not fair across the board. Seriously.
It's not fair. That's funny. Sorry, I got laughed at that, but it's not fair to people doing real regular stuff out there. Legitimate stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. And so this is a pet peeve of mine, always has been, it's not a political statement or anything else. It's a free market statement. A house or anything is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So Dalton's house is worth $290 because that's what somebody's ready, willing, and able to pay. That's what it's worth. But I mean, I see why they don't want a loan based on $290. But at the same time, the appraisal's got to come. You can't just say, look, you got Dalton 5, 8, 10 people. Hold up your fingers if you don't want to open your thing that they offered more than 240. And
The lowest I had was 270.
lowest you, and how many offers did you have?
9.
9. And there was a bunch of people who said, I don't want to get in a bidding war, and they didn't bother submitting one. So he had 9 over 270, and you're telling me that house is worth 240?
Right.
There's no way. So, I mean, I know they have rules they have to live by because they're planning also on,
Right.
the bank doesn't want to have to foreclose on this thing when it is worth 240 in 3 years because it's a buyer's market again or whatever, right? So that's their concern. That's where they got burnt last time.
Right.
And that was always their concern.
And I think there's some of these appraisers that are just very fearful of taking that responsibility, kind of.
Well, there is none, right? So there's no, why not be conservative? If you're the appraiser, you got no skin on the line. You get paid your $300, $400, your part of it, no matter what you do, right? As long as you turn one in, you get paid. Now, eventually banks will stop working with you if you kill every deal they have. But you know, if you've got to be conservative. They had appraisers get sued last time when the market crashed for giving hyped up appraisals. So you got to be careful. A lot of things are harder to appraise. Other like commercial appraisals and stuff are a lot harder to find comps and harder to be accurate. All right, guys. Yes, Joy.
No, I'm just saying, Dalton, you can dispute your appraisal because I'm working on one right now, a requested second one.
Yeah, I can't dispute it. That's what I was telling George is I can't dispute it because I listed it at appraised value, and I'm $40,000 over list price. So I have no disputes because I have no comps to support my 290. So it's multiple offers is what took us up there. This guy, why I said this is random and odd is because he's not actually my appraiser. He turned down doing the appraisal because he said, I can't hit the number. So I thought that was kind of cool and nice for me, but he's not actually appraised it yet.
And when the appraisal comes out, and I have a whole package I put together on mine, but that spread, you should have a spreadsheet showing your offers, especially the ones over 270. But once they see that you've got 7 or 8 people offering well above, that is better than having to dispute it when it comes in at a lower price. So give it to them. Pardon?
How do they match that up with the fact that the highest sale in that entire community is 250? I mean, there's not a single sale in that entire community in the last 5 years over 250. So how do they take all my offers over 270 and say that holds more weight than nothing selling over 250?
because the first rule of appraising is what a willing and able buyer is willing to pay for your property. And you say, I've got almost 10. So if the market is telling them, that's one of the things the appraisers should take into account. So actually the first thing they should take into account. And so that's how I do it. We list low or at market knowing, but I put appraisal package together for everything I do, because almost always am I in that stratosphere above the average listing price in the neighborhood. You just have to know why you're there. The market's the first thing. It's the first thing they should be looking at. So I have a spreadsheet of the 10 offers I got, and I'll forward it to you if you, that'll help.
Yeah,
That shows,
that's how I present it to my sellers. I do a full spreadsheet, and
okay.
so
So if you got that, then just give that to the appraiser and say, hey, here's what the market's telling me it's worth.
Right.
And if you have something else besides that, it's probably, why is the other houses not selling? I mean, go back and do your homework on when I'm not selling, but why they sold for the price they did. Is it 6 months ago? Is it, you know, they don't have stainless steel or granite or whatever features you have? Those differentiators matter. Condition of that property, there's a 1 to 5 scale on that the appraiser should be looking at. They don't get that in a drive-by, to Ryan's point earlier, of not seeing the leak in the roof and, you know, the carpet with a hole in it, things like that. So you can use that approach to go up or down, but that spreadsheet, and if they need to see the offers, offer to give them that. Just like you would in a bidding war if you did the escalation clause and say, give me the best offer. But you can, if you're the seller's agent, you can give them all of them. But if you line that out, my thing is to make the appraiser job easy and only give them facts. But I give them the facts that add value to my property if that's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah,
So-
that's fantastic. And I think you're probably gonna have to show them the offers, because I can make you a fake spreadsheet right now, but I would think you'd send them the offers and do it that way. But yes, George, I couldn't agree more that it should be what a willing and able buyer will pay is what it's worth, especially when you have 9 of them lined up. I would say that house is worth a minimum of 270.
Yeah.
And what you're probably looking at is older sales.
Right.
The market is catching. This is a whole different market than February. I'm looking at what things sold for in February, and I swear you could put them back on the market now, pay your commissions and your closing costs, and make money. Crazy. How quickly this market is just parabolically going up. It's crazy.
It's
And
good for you because you're selling your house, right?
yeah, it is good for me. Good for me. Yeah, I think if I were you guys, I'd sell my house and go rent something for 2 years. Seriously, think about it. But that's my thing. I'm not a financial advisor. All right, guys. So I think that anybody else have anything? If you do, feel free.
Hey, I want to give props.
Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I want to give props to Abby again. She did a fantastic ad for me in the newsletter I talked about last week. So she got it after 10 revisions, another revision at freaking 7:30 this morning to make sure everything was perfect. But she came through and and it looks fantastic. So props to Abby again.
Way to go, Abby. Good job. Abby's a resource for you guys. If you need Abby, just let her know. Reach out to her. We'll do her. So we got 2 things accomplished there. We got Abby an endorsement, and we got Daryl some airtime, which is all he wants. So everybody's happy. Who else was speaking? TC, were you talking? Somebody else was saying something? Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? Let me know. Again, I apologize for this. I have 17 emails about how the first thing didn't work out here. The first Zoom call. All right. I'm trying to see if you guys emailed me anything else. No. All right, guys. You guys are looking good. If you need anything, let me know. We're off to a booming April too. You guys are really doing very well. Lots of business to be had out there, guys. And if you need help with anything, need me to look over a contract or need anything, don't just send me a contract. Tell me a story too, so I know what you're trying to do. Because a lot of times, yes, that's a legal contract. What is your client trying to accomplish? Okay, so if you're sending those to me to look at them, let me know what you're trying to do. Otherwise, it's just, yeah, it's a contract. It's good. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Keep up the good work. We'll see you next week. I'll have a real something of value to offer you guys. Like I always tell you, I can't believe so many of you guys showed up for nothing of value. I mean, I told you up front, it wasn't going to be any.
We always learn something new, Ryan, so
Oh,
don't worry.
that's wonderful, Malvis. Thank you. So
And just the
everybody-
fact that we get together and have the opportunity to ask questions is appreciated. Thank you so much.
Good. You bet. You bet. And you guys, I appreciate all you guys inputting the stuff that I don't know anything about. So that's good too. So thank you very much, Malvis. Everybody's going to get kicked off of here, but Malvis here in a second. So, because I appreciate her. All right, guys, you guys have a good week. Appreciate you all. Keep up the good work and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.